There was a proposal that just went out that seems like it's going to save Terra Luna Classic. However, it's nothing like what it seems. This proposal talks about reactivating ICB, which is the inner blockchain communications. Now, to keep it really simple, essentially what this means is that between multiple different blockchains in the Cosmos ecosystem, you could have value traded between them really easily. And dApps can also very easily transfer between the different ecosystems because a lot of the infrastructure is similar. So when we look at the Cosmos ecosystem, we can see there's a couple big different ones here. We have Terra Luna Classic, the new Luna, Atom, CRO, a couple of these other ones. And basically what this would potentially enable, or what this says it's going to do, is allow for these different ecosystems to be able to. And so basically the idea that they're trying to sell is that this will allow us to actually transfer value between these different ecosystems and have all the dApps from these different ecosystems be able to come into the Terra Luna Classic ecosystem super easily. However, that's just simply not a reality here. So to start us off, this proposal is not put out by the Terra Rebels. That's an important distinction. That's put out by a community member. They declare their biases right here that they own Terra Luna Classic, state Terra Luna Classic, partner Terra C Vita, a couple other things mentioned here. But it's important to highlight that there's something down below in the results of voting that's not really clarified. So basically a yes vote. To summarize this and make this really simple without technical terms, they're going to update this. So right now this is on version 71. They're going to update it to version 128. However, this updated client was created and is currently maintained / updated by the authors of this proposal. And so unless I'm totally misunderstanding this here, the authors of this proposal did not declare this in the biases that they actually created this update that they're proposing, and instead making it seem like they're kind of a third party, not necessarily making it super clear. Now they do say that this was created by them, so at least they do mention it later on, but I would have wished to see this in the declared biases. I think that's kind of a pretty important bias of I made this thing versus I just hold some tokens. And to their credit, they do mention that unfreezing the expired client does not necessarily mean that you can transfer funds or exchange the IBC, those different data packets, between both chains again. So like I said, you can transfer value and stuff between different blockchains, different ecosystems. However, they do say that that does not actually happen from this proposal. And so people are confused because they think that this means, this update would mean that that's actually going to happen. And so they say that this update will not actually fully re-enable the IBC. However, they also say voting yes represents the intent of the community to reactivate IBC. And under the voting no, they say that this means that the community does not want to interact IBC between the Terra Luna Classic and Cosmo Hub. Now, some of this confusion comes from the community because of the confusing language. A lot of people are not familiar with technical terms, including myself. I struggle with some of the technical terms. And so when they say things like reactivating IBCs brings interoperability, meaning the funds on other chains can be used to generate yields from liquidity pools over there. This makes people think, oh, this is going to enable that cross-chain functionality that's being talked about with IBC. But again, this particular proposal with this particular update that they're proposing doesn't actually fully do that. It just, as they said, signals that the community wants to do that. And so I'm seeing a lot of confusion about this. People are reading this and getting the gist of IBC because that's been talked about quite a bit. It's in the roadmap. There's a lot of discussion around this. And so they think, hey, this is going to be the final straw. This is what we need. This is going to be that update. And it's not actually the case. It's a slightly different thing that's maybe helped push us forward, but even that's a little bit confusing here. This whole issue was even brought up in the Discord by YoGabba, a front-end developer, and he's not a classic core developer, so he doesn't work on the core code. He works on the front-end interfaces, but from his understanding, this proposal doesn't change anything except checking community sentiment. So he's kind of struggling even to understand the meaning of this. And so before making any vote decisions, I think it would be really important to wait and get some clarity from developers, from people with experience to understand what's actually going on here. Because as you guys can see right now, this proposal is getting votes yes. And I think that's due to a lot of confusion as to what this actually means, what's actually going on here. Now, this is, of course, not enough to actually get it passed right now. However, it does run the risk, if there's not clarity added here and people keep throwing votes at this, that this thing maybe passes and it's not what we think it is. And so as always, make sure to do your research and double check things because you don't want to do something that's going to come to bite us in the butt later in the future.